for used U-Hauls that just arrived not too long ago. This is the today's incarnation of our house band. We got Mr. Phil Smith on the saxophone blowing for you, Mr. Bruce Hanloff pounding the skins, Mr. Jack Bowers tickling the 88s, and now I'd like to introduce the bass player in the house band, who is also going to be your MC for the stand part of our little afternoon, Mr. James Brudnick. One of the official, are you actually official geezer now?
Not yet.
He's over 40, so I think he's qualifying for the geezers. And he's going to introduce everybody else who's coming on. So here's...
Right. Well, I want to welcome everyone to Bocce's Cellar. We're very fortunate to have Roger Barnes, the owner of Bocce's, our patron here tonight. I'd like to hear it for Roger. We have jazz here for now. "11 years every Sunday from 3:30 to 7:30. I'd also like to thank Sue Marvin and her sister Nadine for the wonderful, beautiful placements on the tables. I'd like to thank the board of directors of the Jazz Society. Many of them are here tonight to celebrate our wonderful Outstanding Achievement Award. And especially like to thank the house band for being here every Sunday for those 11 years. Two of our members are absent tonight, so we have two substitutes. I always like the joke, they ask us how long we've been playing together, and we say 15 minutes. By the way, to be a jazz geezer, you need to be 70 years old. You need to know 1,000 songs written between 1935 and 1945 by heart. And I would like to call up Don Lane, the vice mayor of Santa Cruz. He deals in vice. I'm sure you've heard that joke before. To give the proclamation to a geezer who is getting the Outstanding Achievement Award. Thank you, Don.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for inviting me to be here today. I'm here on behalf of Mayor Coonerty, who can't be here today because literally today he and his wife are having their first child. And so he has a pretty good excuse for not being here today, and I'm filling in. That's what vice mayors do. But it's a real honor to be here. Usually when I fill in, it's for some pretty stodgy event and I don't get live music and a great crowd like this. So it's a pleasure to be here. So I have a proclamation from the mayor that I would like to read to you today. And here it goes. Whereas jazz is an original American art form that affirms the noblest aspirations of our national character, individual discipline, perseverance, and innovation, and whereas jazz has produced some of America's leading creative artists and ranks as one of America's greatest exports to the world, and whereas jazz has inspired dancers, choreographers, poets, novelists, filmmakers, classical composers, and other musical forms, and whereas arts education and appreciation for the contributions of all American art forms is fundamental to the people of our city of Santa Cruz, and whereas America's jazz heritage deserves to be appreciated as broadly as possible and should be part of education for both America's children and adults, and whereas jazz has spoken eloquently of freedom for people in the United States and abroad and has become an international language that bridges differences and brings people together from all races, ages, and backgrounds. And whereas the city of Santa Cruz has long been recognized as a center for jazz appreciation and performance. And now we get to the good part. Whereas we honor and recognize the outstanding work that trumpeter Stan Soroken has accomplished through his ubiquitous presence, tireless work ethic, classical tone, community spirit, prowess in paper airplane aerodynamics, and congenial personality. And whereas we also recognize the support and nurturing that Stan Soroken has bestowed upon the young lions of our community through the inspiration of his craft and respected stature as an elder and bearer of the torch. Now, therefore, on behalf of Ryan Coonerty, Mayor of the City of Santa Cruz, I do hereby proclaim the month of October 2011 as Stan Soroken Month in the City of Santa Cruz. And encourage all citizens to listen to jazz performances and enjoy the richness of our jazz heritage during this month and all year long. Stan.
Now those of you that know me are going to know this is a lie. I really don't have a lot to say. But I really do have a lot to say. And the first thing I'd like to say, I'd like to point the finger at the guy back there whose name is Steve Newman, who is a real gentleman and a real hard worker for jazz in this town. And without him, this thing really may not be here. And along with Steve, and you ought to give him a hand. Along with Steve, there's a Hawaiian that's kind of hiding in a doorway back there by the name of Roger. And Roger is a very, very generous man with his time and with his ambiance here and with letting us use this hall. And this is a really, really neat hall because it's not formal and it's not, you know, uppity like a lot of jam sessions can be. This is really neat. Also, the house band continuously driving jazz band. Really, really good. Bill and the boys. And, you know, it's really an honor to play with them. I am humbled, believe it or not, by this. I would not accept it. I know some of you think I can't be humbled, but I can. This is one of those times. And anyway, this, even though I don't tell these guys all the time, this has been a great educational format for me, because I'm not a jazz player. My mentor and teacher and friend over a long, long period of time, whose widow is sitting over there, Louise, his name is Wesberg Vialis, would never teach me a note of jazz. He was a classical guy, and I took really classical and orchestral trumpet from him. And the other guy that is out here somewhere, where's Don McCaslin? Right here. I'm going to tell you what, Don McCaslin is probably the greatest mentor this town has ever had in terms of jazz playing. I mean, when I was like, I don't know, 26, 27 years old, living in Salinas with a young family, and playing a lot of trumpet. I mean, I played a lot of big band stuff and that kind of thing. I'd show up looking really, really cool at the Szechuan Chinese restaurant, Riverside, New Riverside Szechuan Chinese restaurant, where he played every Friday and Saturday night, and would allow people to sit in. And in my case, he had to force me to do it, because even though I went in with a gig bag over my shoulder and a horn in it, and, you know, looking pretty cool and all that kind of stuff, I couldn't play a note of jazz, and he kept inviting me up. Took him about, I don't know, 3 months, something like that, and he says, don't play jazz, just play a melody. And I got up, and kind of that was the start of what little jazz I play today, because I still don't consider myself a jazz player. I'm learning. Anyway, if anybody else has anything to say, go to it. Oh, wait a minute. No. Here's another great benefactor of mine. I played with this guy for a long, long time. Played in his big band, played in small groups. He even made me play Dixieland every once in a while.
Too bad you never learned how.
Yeah, that's right.
Here's a guy that knows 2,000 tunes, and if he ever played one of them correct, it'd be great. I mean, we've been associated through small groups, trios, quartets, Dixieland, which he still don't know how to play. He'll learn someday. True. But to me, he was the first trumpet player in the big band and the best. And he helped make the Esquire band what it was. And we had so many years of Mount Madonna playing the first Sunday of the month, packing them in. We had one hell of a good band, and we had a good time, didn't we?
You bet.
Yeah, you bet. So this is my buddy. I love him to death. Mwah! That's a big one for you. Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
Is there anybody else?
Yeah, there's more people. You can go next.
I want to say one thing. Oh, well, okay. Stan, I was going to tell a true story about you. Last week I was walking in and Phil waved to me, probably someone behind me, and I said, "Oh, you must think I'm Stan, because I'm dressed like him and whatnot." And I walked over, and then you turned around behind the post and you gave me, you weren't very happy about that, but you gave me a nice handshake. And so I've been emulating your dress pretty much, and so people can, I'm his body double in movies. And they put a little lip makeup on me, and they throw me out of the car, that kind of thing. But I'm now learning how to play the trumpet. But thanks for backing me up, fronting me up, backing me up on all these occasions when I deign to sing.
And now the original geezer is about to speak in behalf of Don.
So I want to say a couple of words about Stan. I've known him for 40 years. A few historical anecdotes that most of you may not know. Chronologically, I guess I'll start with this last year. You may have noticed what terrific physical shape he's in. He's been studying under our coach, Coach Crampton. Well, just for example, he spends 1 week every year in Alaska and 1 week in Ethiopia for training, and he works. This is true. He's training. Well, in 2020 is the musicians. 2012 it will be the musicians' Olympics, and we're all working on that. But he lives in Salinas. He gets up at 5:30. This is absolutely true.
Yeah.
He goes down to the YMCA.
True? Yeah.
I don't want you to think I'm making anything up. He goes down to the YMCA. He runs. He lifts weights. He used to use the treadmill, but he built himself up to where he goes so fast and he's so strong that he burned out 2 treadmills. The machine would start smoking, so they barred him from the treadmill, but he still works out. Well, now let's see. Let's go back a few years. Oh yeah, the Cooper House days. That was jazz music on most days for 1972 to 1989 earthquake. And he used to, well, the biggest day was Sunday. The place would be packed. And suddenly, quite often in the middle of a set, there'd be a sound, run, run, run. Yeah, he'd power up in his Harley, park on the sidewalk, get out, all eyes on him. He'd walk up to the bandstand. People were really nervous because you may have noticed he looks very much like Marlon Brando. And in fact, there was a rumor that that Marlon Brando was afraid of motorcycles and that he was a stand-in in that motorcycle bike, but he won't tell, but they probably paid him so much money to keep quiet. Anyway, he'd power up there, he'd get up on the bandstand, he had his satchel, and when he started unzipping that satchel, you could hear gasps of fear. Sometimes they'd go under a table, they thought he was going to... But instead he'd pull out that trumpet or flugelhorn, and he'd play maybe something like Tenderly, so beautifully, Bobby Hackett would have tears of jealousy. That's how beautifully he played. Now, I had one more anecdote, but Jamie Brutnick just about ruined it. But anyway, for the last 10 years, Stan has been an apprentice jazz geezer. Yeah, now there were 3 originals. One was Ralston Brown, who's no longer with us, and then Red there, and then myself, and then we've just had some apprentices. But this last year, Stan achieved amazing jazz geezerhood. That means, yeah. One more thing. Jamie forgot one thing. You have to be 70. You also have to be able to play a gig. And then, let's see. Well, Jamie mentioned you have to know over 1,000 tunes written between 1935 and 1945, and Stan passed that a long time ago. So, and Jamie himself is an apprentice, but he hopes to become an amazing jazz geezer. And anyway, congratulations to Stan for this award and for Jazz Geezerhood. And I'm happy to have known him and to get to listen to him play regularly.
I guess, hello there, my name is Michael Carter. I'm one of the directors of the Jazz Society here. That's given me a lot of pleasure for 10 years, and what's given me a lot of other pleasure is having Stan as my mentor as a trumpet player. I'm one of the other, 3 other trumpet players around town here or something. But I tell you, when I came to town 10 years ago, I thought I was cool. Boy, I had the coolest trumpet ever. I had one that was made in Europe with all kinds of freaky pipes all over it, all kinds of weird buttons on it. I thought that thing was, nobody had anything like that. Stan walks across the room, first time I ever met him, didn't know his name, looks at it and goes, "Oh, you got my old trumpet, where'd you get that?" So, yeah, come to find out, it had gone through the rounds and it was his old trumpet. And ever since then, I've been trying to basically keep up with Stan, whether it's on the latest trumpet toys. I always bring him around for Stan to check out. He's always had one of them before me, though. And also, you know, every time I play here with Stan, I'm always going home and doing homework off everything he plays. So Red, all those 2,000 songs that he doesn't know, that he keeps making mistakes on, I'm learning them. Just like he plays them. But I just want to say that, you know, as we've all joked about here, Stan's very noted for his paper airplanes. And I've got like 50 signatures right here of people who know about that. And if you're not on here, hey, there goes one now. If you haven't signed this plane, you raise your hand when I come around and make sure that I get you on here or something, okay? Because Stan, this is going to you and this is all your friends who have signed this.
Hello. I'd like to bring my own little personal reminiscence into this. But first I'd like to refute an untruth that's been stated on this bandstand, and that is that Stan is not a jazz trumpeter. He's a terrific jazz trumpeter. And I love his jazz playing, and it's right up there, man. Thank you. The other thing is, I got here about 26 years ago to Santa Cruz, and one of the things that attracted me right away and where I went regularly was the jam session it wasn't a jam session, it was just a jazz session at Moss Landing. The whole enchilada. They went about 10, 12 years. And I used to go down there because it was such a beautiful, colorful place. It's kind of like Bocce's in a way. Down to earth. They had dollar bills stapled all over the ceiling and the walls and everything that people signed onto. And then a few years later, somebody broke in and ripped them all off, and they had to start all over again. But anyway, after about 13 years, they gave up the jazz, and that was only about maybe five, 6 years ago. But one of the things I recollect from that was that one of the things that made it colorful was the diversity of the people who came there. It was the farmers from that area, the soldiers from Fort Ord, the people driving back from the rodeo thing, the bikers, and Stan was there on his big bike, and he always had a nice looking woman on the back of it, and he and he'd come in there and he'd blow his trumpet. I said, wow, this is why I moved to Santa Cruz. And now I've kind of achieved a dream. I could be on the same stage, the same bandstand with Stan. It's a pleasure.
You know what? Before anybody else comes up, I want to say something that I think is really, really important. This place is really unique in one way, that the audience is so appreciative of everything and also understanding, because, you know, a lot of us, and me included, I get lost in the middle of a chorus. I don't know where the hell I am, and they tell me I'm in Santa Cruz, but I don't. But you know, the audience is always, it doesn't matter who's up here, it doesn't matter what they're doing, the audience is always nice, and that makes this way, way different than a lot of other places that I could name that I won't even go to, because they're stuck up. Everybody's competing, and this, I've learned more here, and boy, there are some people here who've come so far on their instruments by coming here every week that it's amazing, and a lot of that has to do with the crowd, because man, you clap at everything, you're nice about everything. The house band is damn nice about a lot of stuff that they don't have to be nice about, but yeah. Anyway, want to give yourselves a big hand, because the audience is important.
Hi, I'm Gary Doan, and Steve Gray thought it would be a nice idea if somebody got up and talked just a little bit about a group called the Little Big Band.
Oh my God.
Which is sort of become an institution of its own here. I can't remember when we started in Steve Newman's living room. I was brand new in town myself, and Steve had gotten a few charts for 3 or 4 horns, and Steve Gray and Steve Newman and myself got together and we cobbled together a rhythm section, and we were just doing our best. And we weren't getting very far, so Steve got out his Rolodex and thought about it and called Stan, who became our coach and mentor. Well, and in some cases our tormentor, I think is a little more appropriate. For those of you, you might find this hard to believe, but Stan feels like the trumpet player in the band is the absolute leader of the band. Now, I've often wondered if he was a saxophone player, would he actually agree with that?
No, that's only when there's a trumpet player in the band.
Oh, there has to be a trumpet player in the band. Well, and that was me, so I felt like I was singled out for extra helpings of Stan's tormentoring. And one of the most amazing things about that experience was that we sort of started out as a kind of like a high school band with our faces in the charts and just doing our best to play music. And Stan would stop us after about 4 bars and talk to us about swing, and he would talk to us about feel. And he would lecture us for a while, and it would go on and on. This went on for months, but the thing that really, besides his coaching us, was he would pull out his horn and play a line for us. And the most amazing thing about Stan's playing, which is so beautiful, besides his tone and his technique, is he can play a tired line that everybody's heard 1,000,000 times, and each note has inflection, and it has intent, and it has character. And that's what he passed on to the group.
I didn't think you know this, but I appreciate it.
Was the sense that we really had to step up and think a lot more about swing and phrasing, and he got me to step up to lead the band into its first gig in its first few years, and The band's gone on to collect a really nice set of charts and a lot of local players who've gone through the band, and it's been a really great experience for me and a nice thing for Santa Cruz in general, and I don't think anyone would have happened without you. So thanks.
Okay, sure.
So on that, oh, sorry about that. Wow, this is really hot.
Yeah.
On that same note, there came to be a practice where Gary said, Stan, we need to get through some charts. We can't work 4 hours on one 2-measure part of this part. And he finally said, okay, Stan, that's enough. And Stan goes, my job is done. We've got a trumpet player that's going to stand up and you know, say what he needs to do. And that's when Gary basically took over that group and leading the group. So I just wanted to do a quote. Probably 20-something years ago, when I started with the Cabrillo Big Band, Stan was playing lead trumpet. And my favorite quote from Stan is I've been kicked out of more bands than you'll ever be in. And I remember it was like yesterday, and that was probably 1985, 1986 or something like that. He says, I've been kicked out of more bands than you'll ever be in. So the other thing today, it's the first time I've heard the word humble and lead trumpet player in the same sentence. Because they just usually don't go together. So anyhow, I'm going to hand it over to Jamie.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to remind you of the people that have gotten the Brownie Award and how it got its name. The first recipient was Velzo Brown, who recently passed away. One of the great women of jazz, over a century, was playing right up to the very end. The second recipient was Ray Brown from Cabrillo College, or Ray Brown was the recipient. Ralston Brown, Red Malone, Don McCaslin. I see Bill St. Pierre back there, recipient of the award. Tim Jackson from the Congo Jazz Center and the Monterey Jazz Festival. The Santa Cruz public music teachers, all the teachers in all the schools from the university down to elementary school, to make it happen for the youth of our community. And Steve Newman on the anniversary of the 10th anniversary, our president. You've heard people talk about him before. And now Stan. I do want to remind you of one thing. I feel this is really important. A mentor of mine once said to me, there's many things that you are told by your mentors when you're a musician. One thing that I hear everywhere is straight ahead, strive for tone, make each note a pearl. And Stan certainly does that. But someone also said to me, never put music before people. And your first response is, oh, you're supposed to put the music in front of the people. No, it means never make the music more important than the people. We have 1,700 members that receive our newsletter. We have wonderful dancers that have been supporting the music for 60 years. I see these faces every Thursday night. One thing about Stan Soroken, he never puts the music before people. He always puts people first. And I really appreciate that. Thank you, Stan. Judy, did you want to say something?
My discovery!
Judy Webb.
Dan, I have one thing to say to you. No, I've only been in town for 2 years, and I just really want to thank you. I just got here and I'm going to cry because I'm very emotional in these kind of situations. But Stan has given me an opportunity to give my gift to people like you. And I have been performing with him every Thursday night, and it's so nice to hear those beautiful notes come out of that wonderful trumpet. Sometimes I just melt.
She's back in the crowd, yeah.
And sometimes he makes it very difficult for me to sing. If any of you have been there on Thursday nights, he likes to hold me with one hand and play his trumpet, which is very impressive. But I'm trying to sing and
It's all a show.
vocalists and trumpeters both know what it's like to have their rib cage expanded, and I remember him hugging me one time. He was like, "You really do know how to sing, right?" So, Stan, thank you so much for everything you've given to me, and I know this whole community loves you, and thank you.
So if there's no one else that has anything to say, I'd like to call our president, Steve Newman, up here. And Roger Barnes, would you please come up here? Roger? Oh, Roger, come up here, please.
Why don't you come up and tell me how miserable I was?
Come on. Come on.
Come on.
I used to see him at 5.
And Roger has been kind enough and gracious enough to provide this trophy to Stan. And Roger and Steve are going to bestow it upon our Outstanding Achievement awardee.
There's nothing here.